Have you ever felt that unsettling shift? The moment when you realize someone's true nature. It's a feeling that often catches us off guard, like the quiet but undeniable shift in the air before a storm. Perhaps it's a close friend, a colleague, or even someone you've trusted dearly. They once wore a mask of kindness or respect. But when you see through it, everything changes. Suddenly, they begin to weave lies, sow doubt, or twist reality just to protect themselves. In that moment, it can feel like the ground beneath your feet is shifting, and you begin to question your own judgment. Is something wrong with you? Are you imagining things? But let me reassure you that sense of unease is not paranoia, it's clarity. The Buddha taught us that the challenges we face, especially those involving deception and manipulation, are opportunities for us to strengthen our minds and hearts. These aren't just external threats. They are tests of our wisdom, our resilience, and our ability to remain centered in the face of turmoil. In this video, we'll explore 8 behaviors that arise when people realize you've uncovered their true selves. Instead of being mere warning signs, these behaviors serve as profound insights. They are tools that, when understood, can help protect your peace, fortify your inner strength, and help you navigate even the most deceitful of circumstances. Let's look at them through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, so that you can approach them not as sources of stress, but as opportunities for deep inner growth. 1. They create a false image of themselves. When a deceptive person realizes that you've seen through their mask, something curious happens. They don't pause to reflect on their actions or acknowledge their flaws. No, that would require humility. Instead, their instinct is to build a new version of themselves, one that can divert attention from the truth. It's almost as if they enter a frantic state of reinvention, hoping that a shiny new facade will be enough to cover the cracks they've been desperately trying to hide. This isn't a journey toward self-awareness, a reconciliation with their faults, or a quest for personal growth. It's a calculated move to regain control. They create a version of themselves that is more palatable, more likable, perhaps even more virtuous than the person you saw before. They may claim that their past actions were misunderstood, or that they've experienced a great transformation. But behind the words lies the same pattern, the same inability to take responsibility. It's an illusion, a clever disguise. Now, in the Buddhist tradition, we are taught that everything in life is impermanent, constantly shifting like the ebb and flow of the tides. People change, as do situations and circumstances. But when we encounter these false representations, these clever facades, we are reminded that they are just another form of illusion, a mask we've seen before. The Buddha spoke of the importance of recognizing illusion, of seeing beyond appearances, because it's in seeing the truth that we find our peace. The false self someone creates may appear convincing for a moment, but it is only skin deep, and beneath it lies the same unresolved patterns, the same inability to face the truth. As the Buddha wisely said, "What we think we become." Real change is not quick or superficial. It is not found in the stories we tell about ourselves, nor in the new masks we put on. True transformation comes from within, and it happens slowly, steadily, and with deep introspection. It's a shift in understanding, in our ability to see our faults clearly and humbly, and to grow from them. So when someone tries to rebuild their reputation or reconstruct their image in an attempt to obscure the truth, remember, hold steady. Don't be fooled by the polished exterior. Trust your awareness, for you know the truth beneath it all. And in seeing through the illusion, you protect your peace, preserving the clarity of your mind and the integrity of your heart. 2. They appear only when they need something. There's a certain type of person that always seems to be around when they need something from you, yet mysteriously disappears when the tables are turned. It's as though they're in your life only for their own benefit, and once they've taken what they came for, they vanish without a trace, leaving you wondering if it was all real to begin with. Perhaps you've experienced this, maybe a friend, a colleague, or even a family member who is nowhere to be found when you're going through a rough patch. But the moment they need a favor, your phone rings, your inbox lights up, and suddenly they're back with a request. Be it your time, your resources, or even your emotional energy. At first, their sudden reappearance might seem innocent enough. You might even believe it's a sign of care or concern, but as you look closer, something becomes glaringly obvious. The relationship is transactional. They are not offering true connection or support. They are merely there when it benefits them. The rest of the time, they disappear, leaving you to navigate your struggles alone. When you really think about it, you begin to realize that these kinds of relationships are built on convenience, not on mutual respect or genuine care. Buddhist teachings remind us not to become entangled in the desires and expectations of others. The path to peace is found not in attachment, but in the wisdom of recognizing these patterns and learning how to navigate them. True relationships are grounded in respect, empathy, and a balance of giving and receiving. When someone values you only for what you can provide, it's essential to step back and reassess the dynamic. It's not about cutting them off in anger or resentment, but about recognizing that your energy, your time, and your emotional well-being are precious. You cannot give endlessly without replenishing your own reserves. The Buddha taught us the importance of compassion, but he also reminded us of the importance of self-care. We cannot pour from an empty cup. Setting boundaries in relationships is not selfish, it's wise. It is an act of self-respect, a recognition that you deserve relationships that uplift and support you in return. By setting these boundaries, you create space in your life for connections that are reciprocal, enriching, and grounded in true, meaningful exchanges. So the next time someone reappears only when they need something from you, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself if this is truly a relationship, or if it's just another transaction. Then protect your peace and let your actions align with the wisdom of your own heart. 3. They manipulate your emotions. Emotional manipulation. What a powerful and often unseen weapon it is. It's subtle, almost insidious, creeping into your life in ways that leave you questioning your own thoughts and feelings. At first, everything seems fine. Maybe you see someone you care about, someone close to you, and you offer your help, your understanding, your time. But then, as the relationship deepens, something shifts. You begin to notice patterns. The moment they realize you see through their facade, the charm slips, and suddenly, you're the one on trial. They start exploiting your kindness, your deep well of empathy, and that undeniable sense of responsibility you carry for others. It's like a trap that's been set without your knowledge, and now you're caught in it. Before you know it, you're questioning yourself, wondering if you've been too harsh for setting boundaries, or if maybe, just maybe, you're being unfair. Guilt starts creeping in, making you feel as though you owe them more than your time, more than your patience, more than your energy. It feels like their needs become a weight you can't shake, and that weight grows heavier each day until you find yourself second-guessing everything. Was I too quick to say no? Was I too selfish for taking care of myself first? But here's the thing. Buddhism teaches us something so powerful about emotions. We are not to deny them, but rather to recognize them without letting them control us. The Buddha reminds us that suffering arises from attachment, and emotional manipulation feeds off this attachment. When we become attached to someone's guilt-inducing tactics, we allow them to control our peace. We suffer not because of the person, but because we've allowed their insecurities to dictate our emotions. Their manipulation isn't a reflection of our ability to care. It's a reflection of their inability to stand in their own truth. So the next time someone tries to make you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, remember it's okay to say no. It's okay to put yourself first. It's not selfish, it's self-respect. The Buddha's teachings on mindfulness encourage us to stay rooted in our inner truth, to be mindful of the present and not to get lost in the emotional turbulence of others. As the Buddha said, do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. When we do this, our clarity, our peace, and our decisions become anchored in the stillness of our own heart, not in the chaotic demands of others. Trust yourself. Recognize their manipulation for what it is, an attempt to control, and stand firm in your boundaries. It's not about being harsh. It's about protecting your peace. Your emotional well-being matters, and in choosing to prioritize it, you are not only caring for yourself, but also setting an example for others on how to live with dignity and balance. 4. They shift the energy in the room. Have you ever walked into a room and just felt the shift in energy? It's as if the air becomes thicker, more difficult to breathe, and you can't put your finger on it at first. You look around, and everything seems normal, but something's off. It's like walking into a conversation where the mood suddenly drops. A heavy silence replaces the laughter, and suddenly you feel unsettled. Or maybe it's the way someone's words don't quite land the way they should. Those sharp, subtle jabs that at first seem insignificant, but over time you realize are meant to undermine you. It's not the words themselves, but the feeling they leave behind. And that's when you know something is wrong. It's not just your imagination. It's the energy in the room shifting and twisting in ways you can't always explain. Manipulative individuals, those who thrive on control, often don't need to say much to make their presence known. In fact, their weapon of choice is silence. They don't have to shout or argue. No, they simply carry their negativity into a space, and before you know it, the atmosphere starts to tighten. Every word spoken after their entrance feels like it's been weighed down by something unseen, and every glance seems to carry more weight. These are the subtle cues, body language, tone, pauses in the conversation that unsettle you. They don't need to outright attack. They only need to shift the energy just enough to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel like something's wrong even when you can't quite name it. In these moments, it's easy to get caught up, to start questioning your own feelings. But here's the truth. Your intuition is a powerful tool. Buddhism teaches us that our perception shapes our reality, and if something feels off, it's important to trust that gut feeling. That discomfort isn't paranoia, it's guidance. It's your inner wisdom alerting you to something that doesn't align with your truth. Don't dismiss it. It's there to help you stay grounded in your own peace. Rather than engaging in conflict, the Buddha offers us a way to navigate these encounters with grace. We don't have to react or get caught in the drama. Instead, we can detach from their energy, not to ignore their behavior, but to understand it as an opportunity to practice compassion for ourselves. By setting clear boundaries, we not only protect our own peace, but also reaffirm that we are in control of how we respond to the energy others bring into our space. As the Buddha wisely said, "You may fetter my leg, but my will no one can restrain." Their negativity is theirs to carry, not yours. So, when you sense that shift, trust your intuition, hold your ground, and let their bitterness fall away from you like water off a lotus leaf. 5. They lie to cover up lies. There's something unnerving about being caught in someone's lie. At first you might feel a sense of disbelief, a slight shock, perhaps even a flicker of anger. You want them to admit their wrongs, to face the truth with you, but instead their instinct is to dig deeper, to craft a whole new story. Suddenly, what was once a simple lie has evolved into an intricate web, where one falsehood leads to another, and each new lie builds upon the last. And as they spin this complex tale, contradictions begin to pile up like sandbags, making it harder to see where the truth lies. You start to wonder what's real, what's not. Your confidence in your own perception begins to shake, and just for a moment, you start to second-guess your own understanding of the situation. It's a powerful tactic, isn't it? The more they lie, the more they try to blur the lines, forcing you to doubt not only their words but your own ability to see clearly. But here's the thing, Buddhism teaches us that truth is unshakable. It's like a rock in the middle of a storm, steady and unwavering. Lies come and go, like shadows in the night, but truth remains eternal. When you are faced with such deception, don't fall into the trap of engaging in the endless cycle of lies. Don't get caught up in their shifting stories, no matter how convincing they seem. Their lies are not meant to make sense. They're meant to confuse you, to throw you off track, to make you question your own judgment. Instead, stand firm in your own understanding. Trust in what you know to be true, because the truth doesn't need embellishment or complexity. As the Buddha wisely said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. In other words, when confronted with a lie, acknowledge the discrepancy, but don't allow their narrative to twist your reality. Don't let their words take root in your mind. Stay anchored in your own truth, and remember that no matter how much they try to obscure it, the light of truth will always shine through, steady and bright. When you do this, you protect your peace, and you keep your mind free from the chaos of their deception. 6. They pretend not to know they've done wrong. There's a particular kind of frustration that arises when someone you care about, or perhaps someone you're simply trying to understand, pretends not to know they've done wrong. It's infuriating, isn't it? You confront them, and instead of owning up to their actions, they act as though they have no idea what you're talking about. They feign ignorance, almost as if they're the victim of a misunderstanding, desperately hoping to shift the focus away from their own wrongdoings and onto your reaction. Suddenly, you find yourself in a position where you're the one questioning your own emotions. You begin to doubt, was I too sensitive? Am I overreacting? The calm, collected person you once thought you knew now seems distant, confused even, as if your pain has no legitimate cause. But here's the truth. Their pretense is a tactic, nothing more. It's an attempt to manipulate the situation and avoid taking responsibility for their actions. It's a classic deflection, and it can make you feel powerless, as though your feelings and experiences are being minimized. But Buddhism teaches us that when we are offended by another's actions, it's not just their behavior that we are reacting to, it's our attachment to how we believe things should have been. The Buddha reminds us that our suffering often comes from our expectations, the ideals we hold about how people should behave or how situations should unfold. The moment someone refuses to take responsibility for the hurt they've caused, that's when we must pause and look inward. Trust your own feelings. If their actions have caused you harm, your feelings are valid. In these moments, the practice of mindfulness and self-awareness becomes essential. It's crucial to recognize that their attempts to twist reality are not about you, they are about their refusal to own their mistakes. You don't need to get lost in their narrative. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly or try to make them understand your hurt. Instead, set firm boundaries. Stand tall in your truth, even if they try to make you feel like you're the one with the problem. You don't need to argue, simply state your position with calm assurance. Remember, when they pretend not to know the harm they've done, it's not your job to convince them otherwise. It's your job to protect your peace. And in doing so, you reclaim control of the situation, refusing to let their manipulation cloud your judgment or alter your reality. 7. They make you feel small. It's a painful experience, isn't it? When someone who has been caught in their deceit tries to regain control, not by owning up to their actions, but by belittling you, it's as if, in an attempt to shield themselves from the truth, they need to make you feel small, to diminish your sense of self in the process. They do it subtly at first, those little remarks, the ones that seem almost too innocent to challenge. Maybe it's a sharp comment disguised as a joke, or an offhanded remark meant to undermine your confidence. The kind of remark that on the surface seems insignificant, but over time you begin to feel its weight. It wears you down. Each word, each glance, is like a small pebble being thrown at the foundation of your self-worth. They want you to doubt yourself. They want to make you question your own judgment, your intelligence, your abilities, anything to make you feel inferior. The truth is, it's not about you at all. It's about them. These people, whether consciously or not, are projecting their own insecurities onto you. When we truly understand this, their comments start to lose their power. What they say is no longer an attack on your worth. It's a reflection of their own inner turmoil. Their need to make you feel small only highlights the fact that they feel inadequate themselves. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that no one can diminish our worth unless we allow it. True confidence isn't built on the validation or approval of others. It comes from within. It's knowing deep down that you are enough. When someone tries to belittle you, it's not a reflection of your value. It's a projection of their need to control the situation, to shift the focus away from their own flaws by magnifying yours. So the next time they try to chip away at your confidence, recognize it for what it is. Stand tall in your truth. Reaffirm your worth, not through their eyes, but through your own. Remember your strengths, your values, and all that you have achieved in life. When you stay grounded in your sense of self, those small jabs, those petty remarks, lose their sting. They no longer have the power to sway you or to make you question who you are. You are the one who defines your worth, and no one can take that away from you unless you let them. 8. They become aggressive or threatening. There's a particular shift that happens when a manipulative person feels like they're losing control. It's almost like a switch is flipped. When all their subtle tactics, the guilt trips and deflection, fail to move you, they resort to something far more drastic: aggression or threats. It's as if the mask falls entirely away and you see them for what they really are: desperate. Desperate to regain the upper hand, desperate to keep you in a place of submission, to silence your voice. These are the moments when their true nature is revealed, not through the calmness of their words, but through the venom of their tone, the sharpness of their glare, or the outright intimidation in their actions. It's a tactic designed to frighten you, to make you feel small, to pressure you into retreating so they can regain control. And yet there's something profound in these moments if we choose to see it. This aggression is not a reflection of your weakness, it's a sign of their desperation. When someone resorts to threats or force, it's because they can no longer control you with the subtle tools they used before. They feel backed into a corner, and the only thing they have left is to try to scare you into compliance. They want you to retreat, to step back, to let them win. But you don't have to play their game. Buddhist wisdom teaches us a powerful truth in moments like this. We cannot control the actions of others, but we can absolutely control our own response. When faced with aggression, the greatest strength you can exhibit is composure. Think of the calm in the eye of a storm. Everything around you may rage, but in that center there is stillness, clarity, and peace. That is your power. Don't engage emotionally. Don't let their anger penetrate your peace. Stand firm in your truth, knowing that their aggression is not about you. It's their attempt to manipulate you, to overpower you with fear. Instead, when faced with their fury, hold your ground. Document their behavior, because their attempts at aggression are a reflection of their own inner chaos, not a reflection of who you are. Set clear, firm boundaries. You don't need to react to their anger. In fact, the more composed you remain, the less power they have. Stand still, let their storm rage around you, and watch as it passes over you, temporary and fleeting, like clouds in the sky. The truth is, their aggression can't touch your peace unless you let it. And the moment you refuse to let it, you win, simply by remaining anchored in your calm, unwavering truth. As we go through life, we encounter these behaviors, whether from friends, family, or colleagues. But when we understand them through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, we see them not as personal attacks, but as opportunities for growth. These challenges are tests that allow us to strengthen our wisdom, fortify our boundaries, and remain unshaken in the face of life's storms. By recognizing these behaviors and responding with clarity and compassion, we protect our peace and uphold our integrity. Remember, the Buddha's teachings remind us that no one can take your peace unless you allow them to. Stay strong, stay centered, and trust in your own wisdom. Have you encountered these behaviors in your life? How did you respond? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's continue growing together through the timeless wisdom of Buddhism.